Okay, hi everybody. It's 9 o'clock. So welcome to another 30-minute session, 20-minute session on writing and my books in particular. So today we're gonna have a look at this book. This book is called Kelunding. Now this is a book that was published in 2015. It's basically a photography book. To be honest, I'm not even a photographer, so to do hi Steph. In order to do a photography book was a bit of was a stretch, but I thought it was something I really wanted to do, and it coincided with the fact that in 2015, I wanted to get it done for the 2015 Georgetown Festival. So Kelunding basically means it means Keluhan Dinding, which is basically writings on the wall. So what I did with this book was I compiled photographs from around the Klang Valley to in particular graffiti. Now the thing is, I've always liked graffiti. I think there are, in Malaysia at least, there's a few particular more popular types of graffiti that gets a lot of press, that gets a lot of people excited. The first kind of graffiti that I think everybody knows, everybody likes, is the spray can artwork graffiti. You see it everywhere. It's almost very trendy now for a lot of guys to go out and paint walls and nobody disturbs them. So that's the art kind of graffiti. Then there's also tagging. So what tagging basically means is when you write your name all over town. So you have a little design for your name, and wherever you go, you tag the place, so people know that you've been there. And I know a lot of my friends who sometimes when I'm traveling, in the country, and I will suddenly spot their tag, and it puts a smile on my face because it pretty much means, oh yeah, he's been there. So there's artwork and there's tagging. There's a third kind of graffiti which I particularly like. I like the graffiti where people write on the wall. It's not very visually appealing because usually it's just scribbling, and for a lot of time people tend to disregard it as vandalism. But then again, for me that's what graffiti is. It's essentially vandalism. So this book, Kelunding, is a compilation of scribblings, writings on the wall, compiled with the help of pictures, kabar baik, in the form of pictures, and compiled as an archive of sorts. Yeah, so the idea behind this book came from the comic book The Invisibles. Hi na. By this guy called Grant Morrison. So in the book, it's a book about anarchist superheroes who, instead of using the normal ways of communicating like the phone or texting, use the walls to write messages to each other. Hi Lee. So what happens is when they communicate with each other through writings on the wall. So I thought it was a really intriguing idea, and I extended it to. I was thinking of an opportunity to do it, and opportunity, came along with look at the Georgetown Festival. So what happened next was, I decided that I'd make a book, but I needed to be very careful because to compile a book of all the writings on the wall in all of Malaysia would be a huge undertaking. I could not do that because of for a lot of these projects, actually, to be honest, for a lot of these projects that you are thinking of doing, or even I'm thinking of doing, it requires a lot of money. So I have to think of projects that are within my budget. So that was why I chose Klang Valley as a place where I compile a lot of the pictures for this book. So let me tell you a bit more about this book. So this book, as you can see, it's a photography book. It's got a very distinct style in it. And I'll cover that in the design part, of this little sharing. So, in essence, in order to make this book, I had to compile the pictures. Yes. I was told to engage, so I'm gonna say hello to everybody who said. So, yeah, now you've brought me off thought. So, hey, so what's up? So, and I also still not to say so much. Okay, in essence, to do this book, what I did was I compiled pictures. So I went out at night. The reason I went out at night was because in the daytime it's very difficult to take pictures or to stop and go. I needed to move around really quick. So sorry, I was spending this much expensive. Yes, this is extremely more expensive than Captain Ink, and I will get to that in the next part of this little bit of sharing. So to make this book, I compiled about like 400 to 500 pictures. So I wanted the whole thing to have a certain feel. So the rules I was going for was one, all of the pictures was shot at night. One, well, for obvious reasons, safety. The other reason was I wanted to give all the pictures a certain look, and if I took one picture, yeah, HD, right? So if I took one picture in the daytime, the whole book would have to be in the daytime. In order to prepare for this book, I watched 4 weeks worth of design videos. I had to learn how to compose photographs, and I had to learn how to make photography books. So it took me 4 weeks of pre-prep, learning how to take pictures, learning how to compose, learning how to make a photography book before I actually went in to compile. I already knew where some of these writings were, because I think if you follow me on my Instagram, or yeah, you'll know that I do a lot of night walking. I walk around at night a lot. I walk around KL a lot. I really like KL. So I find these different spots, and I find these different writings. I would archive them. But when it came time for the actual production, I would go there and take another shot. I was hoping that in any case, if I came back and it was destroyed, I'd have an own archive. Yes, Yana, all photographed by myself. So so I compiled about 400, 500 pictures. Then the next step to making one of these books is to curate. So out of 500, I chose the best ones I could find. I had a couple of rules. The first rule I had when I was compiling or curating the whole set of pictures was I didn't want any brands. A lot of modern brands now use the wall as a form of advertising. So they have their skate brand, or they have their band brand on the wall. So I didn't want any of that. So there's none of that in this book. The second thing I did not want to do was I did not want any swearing or any vulgarity. I found a lot of good, really good, funny Kelunding or writings on the wall in toilets. Found a lot of them. In fact, I'm almost tempted to release a book called Kelunding Tandas, because it was a lot of really funny. I think when people are doing their business, taking a leak, I think that's when they write the best, because whenever I go to almost all the toilets in town, and mind you, I didn't just go to the toilets in Sogo, and I went to the toilets in like a really small supermarket and stuff, just to look and see what's inside. And there was a lot of writing. There's a lot of people angry. There's a lot of people just writing from their heart. And I think when you're given a marker pen or a pencil, or you have some time to yourself, you write. That is actually why I really like Kelunding or scribble graffiti, because I think it's more visceral. It's more honest, because you write straight from the heart. You just put it down, and there's an urgency. You don't think about it too much. I think when you got a pen or pencil and you have a wall, what you tend to do is just write what you feel. You don't compose it the day before. Because maybe because the Lu encourages release. Yes, perhaps. Yeah, that as well. But in essence, but I did not want that in this book, because if I put that in this book, then the book will be considerably thicker. I had an idea on how many pictures I could put because of budget constraints. Yeah. So the third thing I also did not want in this book was I did not want any racist remarks. I did not want any remarks, because there's a lot of times when people write on the wall, it's anger. So there's a lot of hate speech. There's a lot of racism on the walls as well, and I did not want any of that in this book. So those were the rules I used when I chose all the pieces to compile and curate. So with that, the next step I had to do was I had to sequence the book. Now, I learned sequencing, like I said, in the first few weeks. Sequencing is extremely important in a photography book, because at the end of the day, all you have is a book of photographs. The hard part is getting the book of photographs to be something that somebody is willing to part money with. A lot of vanity projects can be done, but at the end of the day, for me especially, I need my projects to generate funds so that I can do my next project and my next project and my next project. The reason why I do this is because at the end of the day, if I can sustain my art or my production with what I do, I think that would be the ideal situation. So yeah. So anyways, back to sequencing. So sequencing is basically when you arrange the pictures. So I had all the pictures on the floor, and I chose which one goes first, which one goes second, which one goes third. If any of you own this book, take another look at the book. Take the one around the book and look at how the story is told. Yeah, Annie, actually, the Kelunding in Pudu. Let me just find it. See if I can find it here. So this, this was brilliant. This one, I don't know whether you can see it. So it's like that. Now, I don't know her name. She's got a pen name, but she writes so much. In Pudu, she had at least, I think, 10 pieces. Some with a religious slant, but a lot with just needing to tell people about her situation. She also writes a lot. She writes a lot in the Cheras area as well. I got a feeling, she's from Cheras, because it seems like from Cheras to Pudu, the trail of her writings was all over the place. But the other rule I had with this book was each writer could only have one, especially the ones that identify their name, you know. Some of my more famous friends like Pian Habib also has Kelunding all over the city, you know. But he's famous. I didn't want somebody famous in the book, because the sense of anonymity was integral to making sure that I got the vision of what I wanted out. Yeah. So the next thing I did after sequencing was to design. Now, book design again required me to do at least 1 week of learning. Every time I start a new project, I learn something new. So every time I start a new project, there will be a pre-production time of like 3 or 4 weeks where I learn how to do what I need to do. For example, like this photography book, I learned theory on how to take photographs. I learned theory on how to design photography books, because designing photography books is different from designing normal books. So when it came to this, I had 2 weeks. I think a week. I can't remember. to learn design work. So this book is designed in a very simple way. All the designs are in exactly the same place. Exactly the same place. If you flip through the whole book, they're all in the same place. Now, why did I do that? I did that because basically, the minute I have removed any question about where I should have put the picture, you'd concentrate on the subject matter a little bit more. I mean, that was my methodology when designing this book. The other thing I also chose to do was, I was looking at a lot of samples of photography books, and they had pictures at either spread or different shapes. I wanted everything at a particular shape, so all of these pictures are the same size. So the minute I remove size, positioning of the picture in the photography book, also I made sure the frame was wide so that you immediately windowed into the picture instead of instead of blending into the page. All of this was to make sure that the subject matter popped. Different people will have different methods on how to do a photography book, and I would love to know how other people do it, because I really had no support. I did not know if anybody else was doing photography books. I found out later that yes, other people did photography books. In fact, other people did cheaper photography books using black and white pictures, which I might consider. That's how the book was made. Then I sent it to a printer, and now let's talk about how expensive it was. Social carbon copy used a particular, I can't remember what the paper is called, but the paper used in Kelunding is a glossy, high quality paper. So with that, it means it was more expensive. Also, and this is, I think, my I don't know if this is a flaw or what, but again, this book is in a different size. So when it's a different size, the printer has a problem cutting it for you cheap. When books follow a particular size, for example, here's just added knowledge. If your books follow like a A4, A5, it's A6, there's a size, so the budget from their roll. But when it's of a different size, they can't budget, so they immediately charge you for more than because they can't tell how many you're gonna get with this. And of all books, this is also the only one with color. After doing this book and how expensive it was, I think it'll be quite a while before I can get another book like this out. The other books are cheaper, but this one almost 10 grand. I heard there was somebody who asked me over the last video whether Social Carbon Copy was the 10 grand one. No, it's this one. It's this one with the glossy cover and the glossy pieces of paper and production. Yeah, about 10 grand. The thing is, once you've thrown out this amount of once you have this amount of budget put to a book, there's also a need to sell the book and make sure that you make some money back. Unfortunately, the problem with photography books is, I think it's slightly going out of style a little bit. And why do I think that? I think because these days everybody's a photographer, and the fact that I've got a photography book means anybody can be a photographer. And because of that, the value of a photograph has diminished tremendously. We get great photographs almost every day now. If you're on Instagram, or if you're on a mailing list where somebody sends you one of those crazy pictures, all of they are really great pictures, but the value has gone down. Now, when you look at a great picture, you tend to look at it, maybe enjoy it for about 10 seconds, and you swipe it away, and you go to the next one. Back in the day, photography was more an event. I remember when my family wanted to take a family photograph, we'd get excited in the morning. Get excited in the morning to get dressed, look all great. Mom would do hair and everything so we can take that family photograph. Or we do the photograph after Christmas, after Christmas mass or something like that in order for us to have a nice picture. But now everybody's a photographer. You probably have more photographs in your phone than I've ever taken in my life, you know. And because of the value of photographs going down, the value of somebody spending money on a photography book is much lesser. It's much lesser because what happens on my table when I sell this book is people flip, smile, and they put it back down again because they think they've already seen the whole thing, you know. They don't consider it as anything more than just a picture, which is why, like for me, making a photography book with a good narrative was extremely important in order for people to, when they pick it up, for it to be of some value. If I may, the book now has more value than any time before because a lot of the writings on the wall, like this one, is all gone. They're all destroyed, man. Either by municipal councils who come and clean it up, or just people writing over it, or they all get destroyed. Art, graffiti, almost always does not get destroyed. Almost always. Sometimes they do. Almost always they don't get destroyed. But do, especially small scribbles on walls all over the place. The other thing for when I was doing this book was also to consider, just very quickly, just to get back to design. None of these books have anything to say where it was and what it is. What's it talking about? I did that simply because when you come across a writing anywhere on a wall anywhere, it does not come with a caption. It does not come with why, you know. So I want that effect as well, you know, when you're flipping through the book. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Let me see if I missed anything. I actually have a list of things I want to talk about. Yeah, so a little bit more about the book. I'm lucky because this book is currently on tour with the Asia Pacific Photo Book Archive. It's a non-profit organization that collects photography books for posterity. So, which is great because now people I never thought are flipping through the book, which in essence is great lah. To be honest, is great. So, in a nutshell, or as short as I can put it, that's pretty much all I can say about this book. I can actually do a 1 hour lecture, which I don't want to really get into, but what I'll do is I'll answer some questions here because I saw a couple which yeah, let me see. Yes. Okay, so to publish this book, it's like Angela is asking if I consider publishing this book as a coffee table book. The thing is, coffee table books are expensive. I looked around how much photography books cost, and it's anywhere from 150 upwards, 250, 350, 450, depending on the photographer and depending on the subject matter. But this book is just 25 ringgit, you know. I kept it cheap because I was hoping that it'd be a photography book to put in your collection that's affordable. But yeah, most photography books are really, really expensive. Oh, okay, so Annie was asking if I use a DSLR. No, I did not use a DSLR. The thing I used to make this book was an iPhone camera. That's it, an iPhone camera. If I used a DSLR, I think I would have gotten robbed because some of the places I was going into in KL were really, really dodgy, and there were people like, you know, sitting around watching me as I did my thing. Yeah, so it's all shot on just a camera phone, and I actually used the square setting. So everything is the same size. So I had to move back and forth to make sure that it was in the frame. So it was more. I had to make sure it was framed. I didn't edit any of the pictures. That's how I know all the pictures are pretty much the same size. Okay, so Shika, hi Shika. So Shika's asking, how many to print? So as with printing, whenever you print something on small, the cost will be high. The cost will be high because of the amount of books you're printing for the amount you're paying for. So what usually happens is you print a bigger run so that it will be cheaper. It will be cheaper. So you can actually, if you go to smaller printers, like I said in the last video, laser printing, you can print 10, 20, sure. But for offset printing, a safe number is, I don't know, 300, 400, 500. But the more you print, the more expensive it is. And it's really, really frustrating because the difference from 500 to 1,000 copies is just a few extra hundred. So what that basically means is the more you print, the better. Which is why a lot of publishing houses, when they take your manuscript or they take your book, do a huge run in order to keep the cost low. And when that's done, they recoup using the price difference, and all the extra end up in big bad wolf sales. Yeah, more or less. So for print, what quality is the printer expecting? The thing is, all of this are 300 DPI. So basically means it's actually good print quality. You want to get good resolution for all your pictures, because when you give it to the printer, it's much easier for him to work with. There's no distortion, there's no pixelation and stuff like that. So Angela asking, it would appeal to photography. Yeah. Actually, this book appeals to people who like photography, people who like art, people who like graffiti, and people who actually want to see what people were thinking in 2015. So it's also an archive kind of book where you look back and you archive on what people were thinking back in 2015. Yeah, okay. So let me see if there's anything else. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So that's pretty much more or less it. I must say before I close up, I really like this. I really like this short sessions. I don't want to make it 2 hours. I don't want to make it 6 hours. I just want to make it 30 minutes. You shoot the questions I ask, and if I have to repeat, I'll probably repeat. But before I go, let me do a few more things before I call it a day. The first thing I want to do is I want you to have a look at this book. This is Born in Malaysia. This is done by my friend Kenny Low. So Kenny Low is an actual photographer, and this is his photography book. So if you see this book, it's printed by MPH. So if you see this book, get it, and then so it's a photography book. So that's one. The other thing I wanna mention is, in order to support bookmakers, writers, publishers like me, the best thing to do is you need to help share if you can share. Also very, very important, when you're self-published, you are not just a writer, but you are a publisher. So there will be a time to be that aloof, cool, thanks for looking at my book, blah blah blah. But there's also a time to be that publisher where you have to say, get my books. So here's where, as a publisher of Kelunding, get my books. Yeah, this is my imprint right here, Duran Books. Get my books. It's a great gift. It's a great gift for birthdays. It's just 25 ringgit. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this, if you like sessions like this, short, sweet, very quick, come back again next week, or share this, or better yet, give me feedback. Yeah. So with that, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.